Jai Shri Radhe, Shab Vaishnav Anko Jai Shri Krishna. Continuing in Varta 54, the story of penniless Patel, for whom Sri Gosaiji sent his chariot, and continuing there in our readings of the 252 biographies of the Vaishnava disciples of Sri Gosaiji, day 76. After his meal, when Sri Gosaiji came into his Baitak, Patel then put their request before him. Sri Gosaiji said that this decision was not in his hands, and that the Lord granted his holy sight to whomsoever he chose, and did not grant it if he did not wish to. Up till now, this was the instruction that the Lord had given. I will ask again and tell you more in the evening. The Vaishnavas then truly understood that this was all according to the wish of the Lord himself, and that it was nothing to do with Patel telling tales about them. The Vaishnavas made camp next to Rudrakund. The conch sounded for the Lord's next Seva period, and they all came to the gate and stood there. However, they could not go in. The same thing happened in the afternoon service. Sri Gosaiji made the evening offerings to Sri Govardhan Naji. Sri Gosaiji asked him whether those Vaishnavas could now come to have his holy sight. Sri Govardhan Naji replied, "Today I will let them come, but I will not allow them to come on any other day." Sri Gosaiji insisted, "Oh my Lord, they are just embodied souls. Why are you being so strict with them?" Hearing his plea, Sri Govardhan Naji conceded for them to have his sight for up to 3 days, but when Sri Gosaiji tried to make a further plea, Sri Govardhan Naji said, "I will not listen to any further plea from you. Please say nothing more to me." Sri Gosaiji kept quiet, made the offering, and came outside. He sent Patel to call the Vaishnavas from outside. Patel then brought them inside with him. They all bowed to Sri Govardhan Naji in their own various ways. Sri Gosaiji then came there when it was time to accept back the offerings as prasad. Having done that, he opened the doors. With Patel at the front, the Vaishnava had the Lord's holy sight. They all felt very happy. Then they all went down from Sri Giriraji. When Sri Gosaiji had completed Sri Govardhan Naji's services up until he took rest for the night, he then came down to sit in his Baitak. The Vaishnavas all bowed to him and sat down. Sri Gosaiji told them, "I tried to persuade Sri Govardhan Naji, but he is only allowing you to have his sight for 3 days, and then told me not to ask any further concession. He told me he will not grant any more than this, and that I should be quiet. Please therefore have the holy sight of Sri Naji for 3 days, but after that please go to wherever you have to go. Do not insist on having the Lord's sight here. From today on, if a Vaishnava makes a request from you, then you should take heed of it. You should never rudely disregard a Vaishnava either. The Lord is not pleased by wealth as he is by service rendered to a Vaishnava. Do not keep a Vaishnava as a servant." After this, the whole of the group fell at Patel's feet. Bhav Prakash. This story teaches that the Lord does not tolerate offences made to Vaishnavas. Even the Guru does not forgive offences done to a Vaishnava. One should always be cautious never to offend a Vaishnava, nor to pick out their faults and shortcomings. Otherwise the Lord becomes unhappy. Thus concludes Varta 54, the story of Patel, the recipient of Sri Gosaiji's great grace and an accomplished Vaishnava. Thus there is truly no end to his tale. Carrying on to Varta 55, the story of Nihal Chand Bhai, a Jalota Kshatriya from Ujjain. This is a devotee, Bhav Prakash. This is a devotee of Sattvic disposition, and in the eternal Leela the name is Makarandini, who manifests from Dhruvananda and is thus a form of their divine loving mood. He was born into a family of Jalota Kshatriyas in Ujjain. His father lived close to Padmarawal. Thus, in his childhood, Nihal Chand Bhai was always close to Krishna Bhatt. He was initiated by Sri Gosaiji at the same time as Krishna Bhatt. Nihal Chand Bhai requested Sri Gosaiji to grant him some seva, and he did so. Part 1. Nihal Chand Bhai was very interested in the books and treatises written by Sri Acharya and Sri Gosaiji and in the Sri Subodhini. He was always meeting with Krishna Bhatt. Krishna Bhatt would always speak to Nihal Chand Bhai about Sri Acharyaji's works and the Sri Subodhini. The two of them were always joyous through such readings. The Lord was always granting his direct experience to Nihal Chand Bhai. Once Nihal Chand Bhai was on his way from Ujjain to Gokul with the Vaishnava companion when the local landowner, who was a bandit, kidnapped him and stole everything they had. He put them in a darkened room. Then that bandit told his chief in charge to kill all the prisoners in the morning. That night, bandit fell asleep early. Nihal Chand Bhai told the Vaishnava that was with him, "Why are you worried? Think only of the bliss that is in your heart. Whatever is written in our fate cannot be avoided. This must be our assigned lot. It is useless to grieve. Keep the bliss in your heart and depend faithfully upon your true destiny, and thus praise the Lord." Thus the two of them began to blissfully sing the Lord's praises. The landlord bandit's mother was a Vaishnava. She had become the disciple of Sri Gosaiji through the auspices of Chacha Harivamsji. She heard them singing the Lord's praises. She sent one of her men to them, telling him to find out who they were and who was their guru. The man went and asked them exactly this. Nihal Chand Bhai did not speak to that man, but just continued singing. They were in great bliss in the singing of the Lord's praises, and so did not heed anything else. They did not answer the man. After standing there for a long time, the man returned to the mother. He told her, "They are Vaishnavas and are singing the Lord's praises. They would not stop to speak to me." She then sent word to her son, the bandit, that there are 2 Vaishnavas in your captivity from yesterday. They are singing the Lord's praises and thus will not speak. They are wearing tulsi necklaces. You must not kill them. If you kill them, then I will have to kill you. The next morning, the chief in charge went to the place of captivity and pulled all the prisoners out of there. He saw the tulsi necklaces around the necks of Nihal Chand Bhai and the other Vaishnava. He realized that he must take care of them. Then the bandit instructed his man to kill everyone else. Nihal Chand spoke up and addressed the chief in charge. "Please kill me first, thereafter kill all the rest." The chief in charge piped up, "We know that you are Vaishnavas and so will not kill you, but we will kill all the others. Who are they to you anyway?" Nihal Chand Bhai replied, "These are all my people and therefore are related to me. So if you must kill them, you must kill me first. Only after that may you kill the others." Seeing Nihal Chand Bhai's insistence, the chief in charge left them all alive, but said to Nihal Chand Bhai, "What if one of you squeals on us and tells of what we have done?" Nihal Chand Bhai promised him that they would write a letter stating that none of their goods had been stolen. Nihal Chand Bhai wrote the letter and gave it to the bandit owner, and also instructed all the other prisoners that they should say nothing to anybody about their capture. This is how Nihal Chand Bhai managed to get them all out alive. They all addressed him to, "We are alive with your blessing." In this way they all humbly thanked him. After that the bandit started to return the things he had stolen from Nihal Chand Bhai and the other Vaishnava, but Nihal Chand Bhai told him that he must return everything to all the others as well before he gave him his back. "Otherwise, what is the use of just giving me back my stuff?" The bandit was very happy to hear Nihal Chand Bhai's words. He gave back everything that he had stolen from everybody. He added one thing. He gave them all supplies with which to cook. He then sent some of his men to accompany the whole group back to the main road. Nihal Chand Bhai was thus an accomplished Vaishnava. Even at the time of mortal threat, he did not compromise nor expose his path even a tiny bit. Bhav Prakash. The way of this path of grace is to conceal one's beliefs, but there is nothing as great as benevolence. As far as possible, one should be ready to give up one's life for the sake of saving another. Part 1 continued. After this, the whole group came to Gokul and were all initiated as Sri Gosaiji's disciples. They all kept just one set of clothes with them and donated everything else they had to Sri Gosaiji. Then they all borrowed a little money from Sri Gosaiji's treasury to survive on the way home and sent it back as a money order to Gokul when they reached home. They wrote a letter to Sri Gosaiji, reading which he was very happy. Thus concludes Varta 55, the story of Nihal Chand Bhai, who was a recipient of Sri Gosaiji's grace and an accomplished Vaishnava. There is no end to his tale. So thus concludes the reading for today. We continue tomorrow. Sab Vaishnavan ko Sadar aur Saprem. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Aaj ke Anand ki Jai ho. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.